Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Anime Night in the Dojo. Today's featured show, Gachiakuta, Season 1.
Yep, Gachiakuta, Season 1, Episode 17. Welcome back to the dojo. I'm Ryu. That's Age. We're back from our Anime Night in the Dojo, and well, last week we had a bunch of confrontations, interesting discussions. A guy that has hands and fingers as his thing, it's just... There's too much stuff connected, I hate it. I'm tired of this crap. There's too much stuff that happens at the same time that's all similar, and it's driving me nuts. But in all seriousness, it'll be interesting to see what his power is, that kind of thing. Team Child, what they're up to, what they're going to be doing. But it definitely seems like, based on everything we talked about at the end of last episode with what's going on with Zonka and him probably hallucinating and not actually dead, because he has to die for a third time, because otherwise what's the point, is the fact that we can make the Zoro backstory reference, because that's what it seriously seems like they're going. And for anybody who doesn't know the Roronoa Zoro backstory from One Piece, and he's not the first one to have this backstory, but it's the easiest one to point to, is you always have that, not always, but those stories always have like a childhood friend that is just like the prodigy and better than you at everything. In the case of Zoro, like swordsmanship, and he had to like really work to get to where he was and that kind of deal. In the case of Zonka, it's probably going to be the same thing based on this episode title and the splash art, like the key visual that we got for this. Is whoever that girl is, probably the same thing as like a Zoro-esque backstory where she was just amazing and he was always trying to catch up to her and there was nothing he could do about it. And something tragic potentially happened to her, so now he fights for her kind of situation.
Yeah, like you see that. But it's... Yeah, like you say,
it's a classic backstory. There's nothing wrong with it, but I'm just saying this is probably what it is, or a variation of that.
But no, you see it pretty frequently. Like another recent example of the same thing. It's once again looking like the Water Hashira from Demon Slayer. It's basically the same thing.
Yeah, it's a fairly classic backstory that you can use at any point or anything, but you know it when you see it, and I'm just pointing it out. There's nothing wrong with it. As long as it's done well, it doesn't matter. You can use the same backstory of, the classics, whatever, in all your characters, and as long as it's written well and the characters are interesting and they can resonate with the audience, that's all that really matters. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with it. And once again, we both think that Zonka's not dead, based on what Jabber was saying. The one that makes you feel good, meaning he's hallucinating. He's high, you guys.
Yeah.
He's full on Towley over here. So, I don't think Jabber would be the kind of guy who just outright kills him right there, because he wants to see everything, and he probably still you're still holding back on me. So I'm gonna like trigger some weird hallucination on you, and maybe that'll make you, go all out. That kind of situation. He's that kind of sadist. So, I assume
he's masochistic for getting Kenpachi.
Yeah, pretty much. So I assume this episode will revolve around that whole Zonka backstory, and then especially with that episode title that we see down there in the Crunchyroll player. We see it. It says a lot about what the next episode is going to be, so we don't even have to speculate, and that's just random meta knowledge, which is okay. I mean, we knew that fight was going to happen at some point, but now we don't even have to speculate if she's going to be in this episode. They might be in it at the end, but it's definitely going to be next time, because of... I'm not saying that title. I'm not Gen Z enough for that. So, yeah. We're going to push some buttons and get going here, so people on Patreon will see you on the other side of the edit for the timer reaction, and people on YouTube for the discussion and review. So, here goes something. Well, alrighty then, there you guys have it. Pretty much what I was expecting for this kind of backstory. Pretty much nailed it. Maybe he obviously doesn't have a thing for Hio like some of the other backstories go, but it's pretty much the same thing. You know what I mean? In this case, it was slightly altered in the case that Zonka was the guy, you know what I mean? And then was taken down by the actual natural talent, which again, he didn't. Well, he was fairly smug. We saw the super smug face. You know, the like I'm better than you face after all the stuff that went on there, and then he never really he wasn't really the guy who outwardly put it out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He just kind of kept it to himself, which is obviously better than going around and being like a Monoma from MHA.
Yeah, no, he's more of a freaking Ira.
Yeah.
Where it's just like he's all focused about his public image and stuff like that, but he doesn't ever show that he's about his public image so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, his whole thing was that he's part of this big noble family, but he doesn't actually have any like innate talent. He just goes full eyes and through sheer force of effort manages to get to the top.
Yeah. Which, based on everything the headmaster was saying here, the system they have in place is, every year somebody gets that golden seat and they become a symbol of excellence for the academy, and they basically point at that and say everybody needs to be like them because the Hellguard needs to be strong. That's it. It's nothing overly impressive. It's a fairly classic teaching method. You find somebody that the kids, whatever, in this case teenagers potentially, can resonate with, because you can't just point to the greatest swordsman in the world and say, hey, you need to be like this adult. You need to be able to resonate with somebody your own age, that kind of thing. It's like, this is what you could potentially be because they're doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't point to somebody 25 years older than you. It's like, well, yeah, of course they're better than me. They've had 20 more years to train. What the hell? You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's all about just breeding the competition to keep people constantly trying to do their best. Because as we found out, the whole premise to this basically is that these guys are basically the closest thing to freaking grounder authorities, and that their whole thing is they're trained specifically to deal with human threats like slavers and raiders and stuff like that. And in particular, they called out they're trained to combat givers.
Yep.
Because they themselves are not givers. It's all just about they're trained to deal with rogue givers.
Yeah. So it's definitely an interesting thing to think about from that perspective, because we've talked about what potentially could be some of the other factions, and obviously the one that was pointed out and we talked about the most was the food faction, just like anybody who can make just existing easier, like clean water, chef stuff, that kind of thing. But the potential for these kinds of things, there's always going to be a anti-raider faction, somebody trying to still uphold some semblance of some kind of law and order kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
So this kind of being they're kind of going full secret police basically, like the Shinsengumi police basically. That's probably where their inspiration came from, because that's pretty much what their outfits are for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much probably what they're going for, that kind of thing. But yeah, again, there's not really a huge amount we can say about this, because going in, even just this image that we got here in the for the key visual of this episode was it was pretty obvious what was happening. We just kind of had to fill in the gaps of obviously Zonka was, we needed to know exactly what he was, and we got it, and we already talked about that. And Hio with an H here, could she potentially be related to Rio? Why not? I mean,
I'm gonna say that she probably is, just because once again she looks very similar to Rio. Their eyes are basically identical, for one. Obviously, white hair instead of red hair, but we don't know if say Rio dyes her hair or anything.
Yeah.
She's from the slums, which, from what little we know about Rio's backstory, they're similar in that sense, that they're both slum and very cold and stuff like that. Because we've seen present day Rio, who's very upbeat and kind of just in a lot of ways kind of plays as the cool girl.
Yep.
Uh,
But we do know that she has some kind of tragic past based on what we saw going on with Amo. We didn't get to see it, but we saw it from the outside.
Yeah, we know she has some sort of tragic past. She has some form of issue with her parents, and that while that hasn't been covered in the show yet, we both know from the little bit of source material knowledge we have that she at some point or another was an assassin.
Yeah.
Which Yo's fighting style here is very much frigging dirty fighting assassination style.
Yeah. She is going for the kill. She's not in the world of, let's just call them secret police. They're fighting to detain. Yo is fighting to kill. She's getting them in the neck every time. That is a lethal attack if she follows through with it. Obviously, that was just like, I got you, here's a bruise to show it. But
yeah, she's only using a wooden dagger. But yeah, every single one of them she got right in the freaking neck artery.
Yep. And I was talking about some of like the baseball stuff in the middle of this, but it's always kind of funny when you see like groups like this that they like. And I've never been in a situation like this, but I can tell you, even when I was younger, when people would complain about like something that they did, and it's just like, man, I can't believe that guy beat like 20 of us or whatever. It's just like, he beat you the same way. Did none of you watch what was happening? So you got beat by the same thing. Just he punched with his left hand. He has a killer left hook. Then why the hell didn't you stay away from the left hook? What are you doing? You know what I mean? These were all one-on-one fights. They're not moving at like superhuman speed, so you can't say like, oh, we couldn't see what was happening. You know what I mean? So it's like, were you guys not watching the match? I mean, it's you know what this was? This is the classic, you're watching but not watching. You saw what happened, but you didn't process it and you couldn't use it for yourself. You know what I mean? It was, you guys know the classic in one ear, out the other? You heard it, but you didn't hear it. Same thing. You can watch something, but not watch it. And that's the case of like, what I usually like to point out for like sports stuff is like, were they watching how this pitcher's pitching? Like, I don't get it. Like, he's doing the same thing. Like, and I'd be like in like it's like a baseball thing. Since I was still on that, I was just like, you guys, he's throwing the slider low and away every time, and you are swinging at it every time until he stops throwing the slider low and away. Stop swinging at it. You saw what happened to the first three guys. Why are you doing it too? You know what I mean? That'd be me on the bench. And I know there's nuance to baseball, and they don't always, go back to the same pitch and stuff like that. But when you're watching a game from an outsider's perspective, and you can see it happening every time, and it's just like, that's his out pitch. You know it's coming. He goes to it every time. He's not even trying to hide it. It's the slider low and away on 2 strikes every time. Not even kidding. And you guys are still swinging at it. He's not mixing it up every time. So in this case, it's the same thing. It's like nobody was watching her. Could she have just been better than them? It's one of those things where if you know what's coming and you can't stop it, oh well. You know what I mean? It's kind of like for like a football thing, like a lineman versus a linebacker. If you're across from Aaron Donald, one of the best defensive linemen in history, he's probably going to beat you. It doesn't matter if you know what he's going to do. He's just going to run your ass over. You know what I mean? So in this case of Hio, they could have paid attention to her combat style and the fact that she could hopefully kill the Crunchyroll player for me so we could move on and not have to deal with it, is they could know what's coming, but they can't do anything to stop her because she's just better than them. Stronger, faster, everything. So that's one way to look at it. But the way they were complaining was, she doesn't fight how she's supposed to. That is never a valid complaint that you can make. And I would have stepped in as a teacher. It's like, yeah, we're teaching you these fundamentals, but this is exactly why we brought her in. The world isn't going to fight fair. You're not going to go out there and like fight the same way that you are taught. you have to use that as offense and defense, but you have to expect the unexpected in any fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Once again, their whole thing is they're training to fight human criminals.
Yeah.
And once again, she fights like an assassin, the kind of people that they would be fighting.
Yeah. So there's definitely a reason why she was pushed to the next tier, like the headmaster was mentioning there. So it's always one of those things where, like, to me, like, if I'm the teacher in that situation, full on rolled up newspaper, have you guys not listened to anything that I've told you? Yes, we are teaching you the fundamentals. You are not going to be fighting against the fundamentals. You have to use the fundamentals to win. You're not going to be fighting against that. Holy crap, nobody listens.
Yeah, especially when you start factoring in the, once again, they're supposed to eventually be beating givers. Which givers, their powers and fighting styles can be basically anything.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things. It's kid stuff, obviously. It's how children think, and that's why you have to, as an adult, like, lead them in the correct direction. And I have a pretty big rant about has-been coming when we do the has-been thing. So, yeah, that's coming. So I have to go like full Jacksepticeye over here. But, yeah, it's just kind of one of those things where you always see, like, kids complaining about one way or another, and them coming up with, like, different ways to, like, game the system. You know what I mean? And in the case of, like, oh, maybe if I cut my hair like hers, like that one classmate did, or, as Zonka was pointing out, oh, this girl here was trying to, like, oh yeah, maybe you could teach me that move. It's just like, she could teach you the move all she wants. If she executes it better than you, she's still going to beat you every time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the intangibles that matter the most of the time. When it comes down to a mirror matchup, let's say, your intangibles are going to be the difference. Your versatility, those kinds of things. You're not just going to copy her and be better than her.
Yeah, you're not just going to copy one of her moves and suddenly be able to beat her.
Yeah. So it's kind of like it was portrayed very well for how, like, kids of that age would handle that situation. It's like, oh, she's cheating. It's like, that's the worst way to look at it. At least with this girl, she's trying to learn something from it. You know what I mean? Cutting your hair to look like her, that's not going to help you. You could cut your hair like Peyton Manning all you want. Doesn't mean you're gonna freaking be able to throw darts down the field, like he did. No way, man. I'm gonna get a bald spot like John Cena, and then I'm gonna be awesome.
Well, to be fair though, cutting your hair is beneficial in a combat sense.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I forgot who it was, but there was a fighter in one of the shows that we did that he was bald for that exact reason. The hair at all can be a weakness. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It gets in your way, and it's something that the enemy can grab a hold of.
Yep. So, either way, I think this was portrayed very well for what they were doing here. We got slightly younger Engine cruising around with slightly younger Rio. Reasonably younger Rio. Like, it's probably like, what, 5 years? Something like that?
Yeah.
Maybe more?
Yeah,
Maybe.
She seems like she's like 10 or 11-ish. And,
yeah.
In present day, she's 16.
Yeah. So, either way, the beginnings of their relationship, that kind of thing. The beginnings of why Zonka has problem with literal shit. That was funny. Had to bring that one back. So, gotta appreciate that. But, yeah, so it will be interesting to see how they handle the rest of this, because they've seeded this, and it was all him hallucinating, as was pointed out by our good buddy Jabber here. That was fun. Awkward, but fun. But,
another part of the reason why I actually think that Hyo has something to do with Rio is the fact that that's probably why Engine and Rio were there. Because once again, like Engine says, like, they weren't there for Zonka. They just kind of stumbled on him when he was in the hole and started talking to him.
Yeah.
They were there for some other reason, which my first assumption is, once again, that they were tracking down Hyo for something.
Yep. So.
because from what we see of Rio there, she's not only younger, but that's back when she's still in her like cold personality, similar to Hyo. So like he's probably still dealing with whatever situation she was in when he first picked her up.
Yep. So once we get all those backstories tied together, I'm sure it will be very cool because they're setting it up in a very interesting way, and I like it. But the other major thing that we got out of this, besides this sequence that was insane, was well, what's the deal with this? These have to be former giver instruments that are in some sort of thing that are like recharging them to be thrown into trash beasts, right? Like this is like the great trash beast charger, and then they pull it out and stick it into a trash beast or whatever.
Yeah, no, I imagine this is some form of either like trash. Either this is a trash beast that just hasn't formed yet, but they're using the giver items to fuel, or this is some form of giver item that its function has been like used to make trash beasts out of instruments.
Right. So lots of intrigue here. Still got 7 or 8 episodes left, so plenty of time to see what's going on here. Lots of other things to get around to, but based on the next episode title, we're going back to Ryo's fight. So, you know.
Which, the other thing with this scene is it also sets up, since Zonka lost and Junta's no longer in the pipes, she's at the core here. It sets up that Junta's going to have to save Zonka and potentially be the one who actually beats Jever.
Right. So lots of interesting stuff to come, I'm sure. So that's all I really got for this week. The backstory was one of the classics. You know, we talked about it. Fairly similar, just with a different spin, different kind of twist, a different kind of character situation, but still that backstory, which is fine. Again, there's nothing wrong with that backstory. It's a classic for a reason. So, you got anything else, AJ?
No, I'm interested to see how the freaking Rio versus Nord fight goes. Like I said, I'm curious if we get to see her other power that she's known for.
Got it. So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, people of YouTube, beyond however you're watching, as always, we appreciate you stopping by and hanging with us here in the dojo for more Anime Night in the Dojo. And this was Gachiakuta, Season 1, Episode 17. So, good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you. Have a good one. See you next time.
Hey everyone, Victoria here. If you enjoyed the video, please consider pushing those like and subscribe buttons. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks again for your time, and we hope to see you again in the future.